Hey there, what's up? It's Andrea here to the Wednesday rant. Honest, this is a pretty I will let you know and keep it real, but this has been a challenging week. As you know, as I shared in my Facebook Live on Monday, we lost a Cornell to suicide. And then the very next day, we wake up to the news that in Manchester, people lost their lives, children lost their lives as someone decided to, once again, blow themselves up along with several other people. And this is a trend that I'm not alone. Obviously, there are so many of us around the world that are feeling the heaviness of all of this. So once again, y'all, I am here to keep it real and to share the stuff that we're thinking about and we're feeling on our hearts so that people can get what they need. So, yeah, if you know anybody who is struggling with a mental condition or they're feeling the weight of kind of what life is throwing at us on a global scale or on a personal scale, please share this video and well, let's get into it. So, hi Namisha. Hello, Kim. It's good to have you here. It's always nice to be connected to some people who I know are holding the same heart energy and vision for making this world a better place. And I know I'm going to be talking to you, Namisha, very soon. Tomorrow, I believe, right? So, I don't know. I just want to know how you all are doing. How are you managing these emotions? What was really kind of heavy for me, I guess, is just, I don't know. Today, I want to talk about being the change. I want to talk about stepping up and being the leader that the world is calling you to be. And hello, Soren. Hello, Karan. Good to be with you. Good to have you here. I'm wearing Be the Change. This is from the lovely people at Gandhi's Be magazine, Melissa and Missy. So Melissa Turner and Missy Crutchfield. This is, I don't know, this year I have felt so strongly that we need to put our ethics in action, that we need to make our values visible. So if you value truth and honesty and love, then you need to make it plain, make it visible. If your ethics say that you will not kill, you will not discriminate, you will not lie, then make it visible. We have got to be in the world. Because someone recently said, Andrea, you know what? It seems like there's so much negativity and terribleness going on in the world because it's magnified because of the media. So social media and traditional media, of course, they're putting this last. On the one hand, of course, we need to stay informed about what's going on in the world. But on the other hand, coming from a background in television, you know what we do in the media? We sensationalize things to sell newspapers and magazines and keep those eyeballs glued to the television and your ears glued to, well, I say radio. My daughter looked at me like, what is that? What? You had to dial? Yes. Back in the day, you had to tune. And that's what media is all about. It's show business. It is a business. But guess what, y'all? There is more positivity, there is more light, there is more love on this planet right now today. There is hate and negativity and darkness. It's just that the people with the negativity and the hate and the darkness are screaming louder and they have a bigger megaphone than those of us that are positive. Because positivity doesn't necessarily sell magazines. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Yes, the media is buying a business. And, well, it is Wednesday. I'm allowed to rant, right? Okay, I was about to, control myself. Having my cup of verbal tea, but that's what it is. So Nana says, your emotions, mixed, and it really shows that people are wicked, says Nana Marfo. With your passion, bring change to people with unique abilities. Yeah, and social media. As much as social media allows us to connect with people around the world, many of you who have been tuning in, I've never even laid eyes on you physically. And that's the beauty. But when we're too addicted to it or it gets skewed, that create that division. And it is damaging to some people. So, Kim, yeah, it is time for us to scream. It's time for us to raise our voices to be seen. And not only that, I mean, there's other things we can do on a subtle level. We can influence the energy on this planet. I wish I had, you know what, let me click invite. I don't even know if my friend is awake at this hour. There is somebody that I went to university with, who even back in my days, in my early 20s, I was like fired up on this concept of energy and consciousness. And hey, Zazie from Copenhagen. And Soren, you're right, we have to make this change, but here's how we can make the change. So for those of us that are change makers, light workers, as my new friend Helena says, you know, the light keepers, the wisdom keepers, we are meant to hold the space. Now this was kind of one of those new agey terms that people would say, oh, I'm holding space. I'm holding, you know, holding a higher vibration. Well, guess what, y'all? It's time to make it super friggin' practical. Because you know what? We can influence the energy on this planet. The reason I wanted to invite a friend of mine, Baruti, is there was experiments that were done. Does anybody know, have you ever heard of the Maharishi effect? I'm going to type it in. See, y'all got me off the iPad today, so I can be like, seriously, oops, that there's not supposed to have a G on the end of that. Maharishi effect. So who here? I'm seeing some hearts flying. What's up, Gary? Greetings to you. So how many of you have heard of the Maharishi effect? So there's this beautiful, peaceful yogi who came out with this concept that our prayers, our energy and vibration, our intention creates a change in the physical world. So one of the cool things, Maharishi, is he taught people how to meditate, but not just you know, chilling out, watching your breath, which I recommend, but you could actually dial into the feeling of peace, the feeling of compassion. And you know what they have? Countries around the world, it's called the Maharishi effect. It taught people in different countries, including war-torn countries where all sorts of war and violent crimes were happening. And when they got a critical point in the population, I think it's 1% of the population in a city, could tune in at a specific time and dial into the feeling of compassion, where you envision a loved one or yourself or even your enemy, and you just send them the intention that they be free from suffering. Yes, we are sending masses of compassion to you guys in London. So if you could imagine sending out a wave of compassion. So the compassion meditation, if you've never heard of it, it's also called the Metta Meditation. This is a meditation you visualize and you feel of sending out love, of sending out peace. It is the wish and the desire that a person not suffer. So you literally start with yourself, which I know for many of us is hard. It starts with sending yourself compassion. Getting some deep breaths, kind of getting yourself centered, you say, may I be free from suffering. and the causes of suffering. May I be truly well in body, mind, and heart. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. And may I know the true causes of happiness. You start with yourself, and then you send that wish to somebody close to you in your inner circle, someone who is easy to love, as they say. So you imagine someone who's either taken care of you at some point or you're close to them, and you imagine them, I like to imagine them here with me, or me giving them a hug and saying, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be truly happy and know the causes of happiness. May you be free from inner and outer danger. May you be well. So you wish these positive feelings. You literally feel like, you know how it is. I mean, people talk about metta, this Pali word that translates into loving kindness. Loving kindness, we tend to bring to mind the image that a mother would have for her small child who's been hurt or injured or sick. That pouring out of emotion that you just wish that this child would not suffer. So when you do the compassion meditation, imagine doing that for yourself, for a loved one, then a neutral person, so somebody that you maybe see at the grocery store or at the post office, and you have just imagined holding them in your intention and wishing them freedom from suffering. May they be well. And you might imagine them, if they're going through some terrible ordeal or a health crisis, just imagine feeling lighter, feeling lifted, health and happiness and joy. And then you take it a bit further. You extend that compassionate wish to someone who's difficult to love, someone who gets on your nerves, including the haters and the trolls, and dare I say, even to the people who are causing us the most harm. If you can imagine sending out that love and that compassion to that person, I know it's deep and I know it's not easy, but with practice you can get into the habit of doing it. And what the Maharishi effect has proven is that by teaching people in these when they tuned in at a specific hour and got together, not necessarily physically, but got together as a group and sent out this feeling of peace, the intention for peace and compassion, the rate of violent crimes went down. The rate of terrorist bombings went down. So you'll see, it's like legit and real. This concept that we, with our prayers, with our intention, with our visualization, with the intention to send out energy and love across the world, we can do it. So I know that we get to a point where we feel completely helpless and paralyzed, friggin', oh, I almost said something I can't say, friggin' upset at the level of hate that we see in the world. But I'm telling you, hate cannot fight hate. It just creates more of that tension and anger. We have to rise up and be the best versions of ourselves that we possibly can be. We got to dig deep. And if we can band together as a community of positive, heart-centered, soul-conscious individuals, we can be there for each other. We can support each other when we are feeling like crap. And we can make a difference. So if you have ever heard of meditation or the compassion meditation, then I want you to write in. What else do you do? Have you noticed that prayer can help? I'm going to check in here and say hi to Camilla. Lovely to see you here from Denmark. Hate cannot fight hate. Yeah, Kim, I mean, how many times have we heard these beautiful quotes from our spiritual leaders who recognize that even though it's unpopular, this is the truth. So Soren says meditation, we all need this every day. And it doesn't, you're right, Soren, it doesn't have to be hours. But sending out love and energy is critical because we can make a difference. I've put in the description here something I came out with, what is it? I think it was the year before last. After I did this TED Talk in Jersey, in the UK, Jersey, I created a compassion meditation challenge. So I want to challenge you. I know some of you are already spiritual, you're on your path, but can you take 5 minutes out of your day to do this compassion meditation series with us? So the compassion meditation challenge is a 20 where you get an audio every day or the written version of it. You can listen to it and practice the compassion meditation at your own time and literally see what changes in your world. So you can visit attunementmeditation.com/compassion and you will notice a difference. Lauren says, our human connection is much more connected than we can imagine. Even to the evil people, forgive them. Touch these people with love. And yes, Zazie, the 100 Monkeys experiment is in line. So the 100 Monkeys, you know, this ties back to what Rupert Sheldrake, you know, the quantum physics guy, has described a morphogenic field. So Soren, yes, we have a human connection. How are we connected? Through what Rupert calls the M field, the morphogenic field. And so the 100 Monkeys experiment is this concept that 100 monkeys on an island who've never done a particular task, you teach them this certain task, whether it's, you know, a maze, it's been shown in rats as well, going through a maze, or monkeys getting a cage without getting trapped. And they found that after enough of these monkeys learned this trick, or rats learned this maze, something in their collective was transferred to animals on a completely different island in the lab. How is it possible that rats in one lab who were running through a maze to get some cheese, once suddenly in a completely distant location, these other mice knew the path? It's because of this morphogenic field. We are connected through a web of energy and information. The movie, The Living Matrix, I would invite you to watch the movie. If you haven't read the book, The Intention Experiment by Lynn McTaggart, I invite you to watch, to read that. So in both this movie and in Lynn's book, Lynn talks about some of these very. And one of the things that Lynn did shortly before her book came out was to invite people who could come to a free website and put their intention. So if somebody was suffering from a health challenge, we would just get their name and maybe the state or the city or the country they were living in, and we would dial in and send them love and healing vibes. Well, these intention experiments have been done where people could send positive energy to plants. So something totally, you know, randomized. They had plants labeled, you know, A, B, and C that were in a laboratory. The laboratory people didn't even know which plants were going to be getting prayers, which ones were neutral, and people were actually told to send prayers of like negativity. So these experiments with plants have shown that the ones that were prayed for literally grew more, that literally sprouted more, and they were hardy, and those that had negative energy sent to them withered and died, and those that were neutral just kind of stayed neutral. So it's incredible that we are connected to plants, to animals, to even insects, which sometimes drive me nuts, especially now in springtime. But I digress. We can make a difference to people all the way around the world. And as Soren says, yes, if we could just at least send love. I know it may be hard to forgive, but at least sending compassion to people who've done us wrong, or to people who are doing these terrible acts. Because if you really think about it, and I know it's a stretch for some, but if you could think that on a soul level, we all are born into this world as perfect, beautiful souls. We have this potential to live an amazing, fulfilled life. But some of us grow up in environments where we experience abuse, or we're taught hatred because of our environments. And it's that lack of love or that lack of attention that causes some humans to do really evil things. But at their core, they're still lovable and whole and complete. And if you could at least imagine that you have to really go out of your way to be evil. And whether you believe in karma or not, the law of cause and effect means they're going to get there someday. Some would say it may not even be in this lifetime. I'm not the one to tell you about all this reincarnation stuff, but I have compassion for evil acts because I know that the law of karma is real and they're going to see theirs. And I also recognize that if I am so taken away from my true self, from my truth of love and my wholeness and my spiritual core, that's going to create suffering. And that suffering, I was talking to somebody, Denmark, just last week. We were doing a Q&A session for my personal branding boot camp. And this gentleman has, and I know Zazie, I know you know him, you know who I'm talking about, but this gentleman has an idea of how to change the way that psychiatric illnesses are diagnosed and treated. And he shared that, there were times where he felt in his life so connected to the spirit world, but so disconnected from this human world that he wanted to end his life. And I know that this concept of suicide is a touchy one for many of us. And for many of my creatives and artistic friends and empaths and psychics, we feel so deeply that sometimes, yes, when we feel like this life can't offer even anything taste of bliss that we may have experienced in the spirit world, however, there are many people who don't feel like living life is worth it anymore. But I want to say that I've had those feelings. I'm not proud of it, but I remember laying on my floor once as a teenager, and I heard a voice. And no, I'm not schizophrenic, so don't call in the people with the white truck and the white jacket. But I was told, from whatever this voice is, that number one, I am loved, and number two, the kind of knowingness, it really wasn't a voice, it was more of a knowing that said, honey, if you're already this conscious or this aware, you don't want to risk taking your life and then being reincarnated as some other being or a human who's not as tuned in. Stay the course. Continue to raise your level of consciousness. I didn't have these sophisticated words when I was a teenager, but there was something in me that said, you have something that you need to live out in this life. And I don't know, I just know that at this point in my life, at the age of 46, I feel like I'm finally at that point of bringing together all of my talents and my passions and my spirituality to connect with people around the world who also feel very deeply the suffering that we're going through on this planet and feel very passionate about sharing our gifts and our message of hope and inspiration and healing to help people when they need it the most. So if that's you, if you needed this message, or if you're one of us and you're a change maker, then I say God bless you, we need you. But now is the time for us to make it real. We've got to make it visible, or at least palpable. So sending out these messages of love and connection to people around the world is what we've got to do, y'all. We have got to do it. Because right now, the level of tension and anger and fear is so great that it's causing people to take desperate actions. And how can we combat that? Whatever they do, we're going to see it eventually. We have to be able to counteract all of that negativity. Is this making sense? Okay, Kim says, lol, you're not schizophrenic. You have that loving voice as well. So I'm glad. So Kim, you say, being honest, you feel sometimes that you attract people who are misogynists, political bullies, rageaholics, racists, including within a particular ethnic group. And it's a challenge to remain grounded and joyful. It's as if God or the universe uses you, Kim, in certain situations to bring light to dark people and places. It sometimes leaves you feeling powerless. I know how that feels. because that if you're in the minority and being a positive person, then you must be wrong. No, honey, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. Holding the light and sharing your positivity and flooding it out, it's the right thing you could do, in my opinion. Like we all have that ability, and I guess I would say it like this. There are a couple things come to mind. One, what's the alternative? If you can't beat them, join them? What, are we going to become negative? There's no way, right? Like, we couldn't even do it. For most of us, you can be snarky or mean for a little while, and then you're just like, what am I doing? It just like feels so completely wrong. No, we have to continue to shine that light and be that light. And if, Kim, if you've actually felt that, then you know, that's what I say. I feel that when we get these impulses, these desires, this passion, this nudge to share a message or to be that light or to be that change that we want to see in the world, I believe it's our that's tapped into that morphogenic field or a higher state of consciousness, God consciousness, whatever you want. There's a need on the planet. So that means if it's resonating in you and causing you to feel like you've got to do something, that means your counterpart is somewhere on this planet in need of you. And by heeding that, it doesn't mean that you're in the minority. In a particular room or situation, it feels that way. But there are more of us who are dedicated and committed to the light, to positivity, to love, to wholeness, to unity. There are more of us than there are of them. We just have to shine brighter, which means we got to get rid of our own little petty stuff. And if you don't want to step up on this, you know, I'm always inviting people. If you want us to get your book out there, let us get it out there. But if not, we've already covered it. You can do this in your own silent way, through meditation, through prayer, through sending out positive energy, through visualizing these people transforming. And depending on your religious background or your spiritual practice, I think pretty much every religion has some little higher beings, angels, saints, the Buddhas, Christ, that we can call on. Like, call on these ascended masters for their help. And imagine that we are making a change in these people's lives. I've seen it happen. I've seen people give testimony that they're saying, I know I was doing wrong and I don't know what made me switch, but one day I just woke up. Enlightenment can happen, y'all. So let me get back to the comments. It's making sense. Thank you, Margot. Thank you, Tony. Like war, information age is waging war on spirit and mind. We are in a spiritual war and must extend the silver cord all the way around the world. Yep, and you're right, John. There is no alternative. We have got to extend that silver cord around the world. I think, you know, I've talked about this before. There are people on this planet who are waking up kind of for the first time, right? Some of us have been on this spiritual path, and there are other people who are just like waking up. Well, guess what? As they wake up, the people in power, the negative people who are holding power or wealth or position over others, they're aware. They may not be all consciously dialed in like we are, but they're aware of what's happening. And I think that is why we're seeing and this fear and this anger and this hatred and this racism and terrorism at such high levels. And yeah, I won't forget the misogyny, Kim. They are raging because they recognize that their time is coming to an end. And as much as it's painful for us to watch, you know, I've been tapped into these spiritual leaders and other wisdom keepers who say that as much as it looks really terrible and like things are coming to a head, it's as if this unrest and this decay has got to come to the surface so that all this negativity can die out and this fresh new life will emerge. I know that's a little tough to like get your head around because it means we might be seeing things get worse before they get better. But just know that they can't hold on to power forever because people are waking up all the way around the world. Like, think of it, just years ago, we wouldn't have even believed a concept like the Arab Spring could happen based on social media. Right? It's happening. So Kim says, people are cashing in on the negativity. Since people associate money with love, we have to find to associate wealth and success with love and God and joy. There's a school of thought that you have to be cutthroat to succeed. You're right, and this is the mentality that we have to counteract. You're so right, Kim. I think it's I've shared here before that many of my healers and my light workers and the spiritual people who come to my company for branding or for publishing, they struggle with this idea of prosperity because we have been brainwashed to think that if you have wealth or success, then you must have gotten it in a bad way or really spiritual. And if you're spiritual, you've got to take this vow of poverty, and it's not real. I was watching this copywriting expert named Ray Edwards, and he was saying something like, you have to be rich so you can enrich others. Use your gifts, yes, to make a living. We're not talking about you're living in a mansion and you never share. Absolutely not. I'm talking about if you're bringing value to people's lives and to this world, it makes sense that the value is you. For some of us, that's with money. In other communities, it is still a bartering system. The value that we provide just requires some sort of energetic exchange. And you don't have to be cutthroat to succeed. And it is a divine right, abundance. And from our abundance, we can help other people. Because let's face it, y'all, there needs to be a redistribution of wealth on this planet. We've all heard these stories and these news reports. There is more than enough food and clean water on planet Earth right now today for every human being on the planet. Everyone. So when we bring to mind these images of children in India or in Africa or whatever, we think that, oh my gosh, they're living in such poverty, what can we do? It requires a redistribution of wealth. But guess what? There are many wealthy people who don't want to part with their money. I'm not saying all of them, obviously, but we need to sort of reevaluate our relationship to success and wealth and abundance. Because if we really want to see other people do well, we need to do well. One, because we can model that. We can show people that you don't have to sell drugs or saying, Kim, in order to succeed. You can be your authentic self, sharing your gifts and your talents to serve and enrich others, and you can do well. And from your overflow, you're able to support and help others. That's why every spiritual tradition has a concept of tithing, of giving 10%. Now, whether you're giving it to the church, and I me about all these mega churches that got people tithing, giving up their Medicaid money, and it's pastor. There's always going to be a perversion of spiritual principles, but nearly every spiritual tradition talks about giving. So if you broke, how are you going to help people? All right, let me read some. You have a similar challenge to Kim with an organization. You've been asked to deliver a talk about self-love and self-care. Ooh. Yes, to a group of really negative, competitive, and fearful women. Well, girlfriend, bring it from the heart and share your truth. Have you had any experience yourself where at a different stage of your life and either you were the negative one or maybe you were the positive one and you transformed a situation? Like the best way, I believe, to help enlighten others is not through preaching. Although my Wednesday rants kind of feel like preaching. That's why my friend Anya says we should call it verbal tea. Verbal tea with Andrea. But I digress. So here's the thing. Preaching often alienates people. It creates a division. And if someone is already in negativity land, that means their ego is super activated and they're not coming from the soul. I believe, and I teach, obviously, and I live conscious storytelling. By sharing stories from our own life or from around us, from the heart and from the soul, we let people see that we are human, and it allows their defenses to drop. I was recently taking a course with this wonderful woman named Judith Glazer. She's the author of Conversational Intelligence. Coaching program with her. She's getting her PhD. She's a total neuroscience geek like me. And she has been breaking down for us since we started this course in January, the neurochemistry that happens when we use certain words and certain body language, when we share our vulnerability. It doesn't make us weak. Brain, literally in the brain of the receiver, it lowers their defenses. Now, yeah, I know you're going to say, well, there are probably mean people out there that when they see you sharing from their heart, that's when they're just going to come at you. There are those people. But if you can just go in with the spirit of, as we say, namaste, where you intentionally, before that talk, Shelley, you envision connecting with these women from the level of the heart and the soul, not the mind or the ego. Send your angels in advance. I like that. There was somebody over here in France, trying to remember her name. She lives in Cannes, American, who always talks about sending the light. So send the light ahead of you. And shoot, if this event is a week or a month in advance, I would be sending that love and light on a daily basis. Like, go and prepare their hearts for the message. I know that sounds, I don't know, to me that sounded corny, but I actually literally mean it. Literally sending light and love and sending this intention that you will connect with people from the heart, because it literally changes the brains. So has anybody ever heard of these things called mirror neurons? Type that in the chat. We love the concept of, thank you, Vaughn. Yeah, and thank you, Anya Bolbier. I had sent out a post asking you, my friends, come up with a name for my Facebook Live show on Monday and Friday, and it's changing again, so sorry. One of the comments was verbal tea with Andrea. And I like it, because this is when I get to just be verbal. It's not scripted. I just connect. So nobody is typing in anything. I just asked you. Mirror neurons. Yes, Kim. So mirror neurons. Basically, there are parts of our brain that pick up on signals. So you've probably heard that most of our communication is non-verbal. So it's not even the words that you say. It's your tone of voice, body language, it's your facial expression. Well, the way that our brains are wired is we pick up on these signals and these cues. And if you're putting up an upbeat, positive vibe, the neurons in the brain of the receiver pick that up, and they recognize it as being non-threatening. Response that's normally there, or that threat response where we're just scanning the environment, looking for whatever's going to kill us or hit us or harm us, whether it's our physical body where we're checking to make sure that we're not physically in danger, or the ego, our personality, is being in danger. So when we sense that someone and they're not threatening, our mirror neurons pick it up. And so what they found is that just by thinking certain thoughts, you can influence the brainwave patterns of other people. So if you're just joining me for the first time or you haven't heard me, I'm a total neuroscience nerd. One of the cool things is that they've shown attaching, EEGs, these little electrodes onto our heads, you can measure brain waves, right? Just like we measure heart waves, we can measure brain waves. And you could have two people separated by a steel wall in two parts of a laboratory, and one person could think a thought, and they don't have to be psychic, but they could think positive or negative thoughts, and it would change the brain waves of the person in the other room. First, they did this with family members, because we know that family, especially identical twins, they seem to have this kind of connection. But they found that even to complete strangers, once they've either spent some time attuning, they can have these effects. And it's based on what we call mirror neurons, where we mirror what we are picking up from other people. So Shelley, I say, deliver this talk, just put out the positivity, babe, and share stories. You know, stories of transformation cause transformation. So, let's see what else you have said here. John, how are you? I know you're in the UK as well. John says he thinks that what happened in the UK is a good example of fear and hope. Examples of a homeless man helping an injured person in Manchester. Yeah, and people, you're right, it was amazing to see that people could offer shelter or a place to stay. Because of course you can imagine after a concert and an incident like that, trying to get home could be difficult. Can't always afford or go to a hotel, so people were putting up people who went to this concert up in their homes. Like that is, John, you're so right, that is, to me, the strongest sign and message of hope, that we do care about one another. There are good and kind, loving people in the world. So, quantum entanglement, yes, yes, yes. Namaste, namaste, Shelley. Yes, this idea of quantum entanglement. We do not exist separately. We are all connected through the mind, through what we pick up on the energy and information that's transmitted between us. We are connected. So there you go, y'all. So I started off this rant by saying that I really want you to step up and become a leader, to put your ethics into action, to make your values visible, show that activity is alive and well, and if that's too scary, then do it privately and silently by sending out love and compassion from your heart. So I want to know in the comments, or give me some love and hearts, how many of you are willing to do the 21-day compassion meditation challenge with me? Starting, either today or tomorrow. It's perfect. We're almost to the end of the month, so that June will just be brimming with positivity. It's totally free. You can listen to a guided meditation of the compassion meditation, or you can read it, or you can go to the website and look at it. Anybody out there? Okay, I know that. Okay, is anybody going to follow along with me? Come on, 21 days. We can do this, y'all. I want to see what we can change. Let's be the change we wish to see in the world. Let's step up and lead from within. Let's lead from within. Thank you, Namisha. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Zazie. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Shelley. It's compassionmeditation.com let me put it in here. No, it's not compassion meditation. It's attunement meditation. Because I teach an attunement process. Attunement. There you go. So listen, I want to tell you one last thing, especially since we've been suicide. So you guys have seen this smiler that I wear. What do people want to see after the Trump experience? We want to see just a flood of love and positivity and wealth and joy. I want people to just be bursting with joy after the Trump experience. So this is called a smiler. I've shared it before, but I want to say this again because typing on cell phones. Thank you, darling. Yes, you will have a daily check-in, Namisha. So the way the compassion meditation thing works is you visit attunementmeditation.com/compassion. It's in the chat. You sign up. It's totally free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's free. But by signing up, you will get a beautiful quote card every day with a quote from spiritual leaders like Gandhi and Mother Teresa and whatever people. So there's a beautiful, inspiring quote and image which you can share and spread the positivity. Plus, there's an audio meditation. So you can listen to the compassion meditation series and do it right along with my voice. So hopefully you like my voice. You can do it along with me and, starting with yourself. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be truly happy. May I be well in body, mind, and spirit. And then we extend that to people close to us, extend that to people we may not even like, and then you extend it to people all over the world. It's only a few minutes every day, but I'll tell you, when we ran this and started it a couple of years ago, this woman, author of Smiler, she did this with us. So she's from Iceland, and she is a nurse who works at a psychiatric hospital, in addition to being an author and an artist. And Gega told me some really amazing stuff. She practiced the 21-day compassion meditation series, and she noticed some changes. And in fact, she shared it with someone very close to her who was getting the emails and was listening along, and there was a negative, icky, mean-spirited person in the hospital. And if anyone's ever been in a psychiatric hospital, either you're on drugs, you're getting off drugs, or you're medicated with pharmaceutical drugs, or you've got all sorts of stuff going on, there can be a lot of challenging personalities. Well, one of the people close to Gega, who was doing this compassion meditation series, said when she got to the section about imagining a person who's hard to love and just still sending her compassion, she did it, and she would do it for the 21 days. And she found that when she went back to the hospital, like, she looked at the woman, sort of, it was so funny, and I will ask her if I can share the comment that she wrote back to me. She was like, I actually felt a fondness to this woman. And not only that, a few days later she wrote in saying that this woman also changed. And that's the power of it, y'all. With the compassion meditation, you aren't saying it to them. It's not like I'm saying, I mean, Kim, you know, I wish that you not suffer, and I wish you joy, and that would be a verbal, you know, sharing. But with the compassion meditation, you're doing it silently for the most part, on your own. You don't tell them, oh, I just prayed for you, hoping you're going to stop being a negative. She did it silently, and it formed these people and this relationship and the way that she saw this very hard to love person. And so one of the things that Gega decided when we made the offer to bring her book to the English-speaking world, so the book is actually in Icelandic, dun, da, 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 and it's in a flip book, which I love. So when I said I want to bring this message to the world, because Iceland is wonderful, but it's a tiny island, and I feel like more people need to get a hold of this. And so what Gega has done is she has decided the proceeds from our work together is to help people who are dealing with suicide. And so we've identified a couple of organizations. One of them is a safe house, and I think it started in Ireland. So there's these safe houses in the also opened in Iceland, where people who are feeling suicidal can literally go to the safe house, no judgment, no questions, condescending, no preaching, and they are safe to sleep for the night or get help, what have you. And so Gega has committed to sharing the message. You know, there's a whole philosophy about, you know, getting past our own drama. And believe me, even though she's smiling and beautiful and created this beautiful painting on the wall here in honor of my book, The Orgasm Prescription, Gega, she went through her own dark night of the soul. And it was hearing a quote from the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, where Thich said, if you will smile 5 times a day for no reason, you can change your life in 90 days. And so Gega created this. It's the smiler. Put it in your mouth. And it forces you to smile. So I'm excited to be bringing her book to the world as of August, and to be partnering up with organizations around the world who are helping people who are suicidal, so that they have, you know, what she calls this is an instrument of joy. And that's what I see it as. And so what does that mean? That means you as an artist, you as a nurse, you as an author, you as just a regular old human being, you can make a difference in people's lives with your energy. So thank you, Melvin, for tuning in. You're not late. You can always watch the replay. So let's start Namisha, I'm so glad that you will be doing the 21-day, excuse me, y'all, compassion meditation series. We'll get you caught up, Melvin, don't worry. For the next 21 days, we are going to send out love and compassion, first to ourselves, because God knows we go through our own stuff. If we can feel compassion and tenderness and forgiveness for ourselves, then we're truly making our values visible to the world. And then we extend that to people all around the world, including the people that you might want to just hate. We're going to the 21-day compassion meditation series. Share it, get it out there on social media. Let's start being the change we want to see in the world. Let's start influencing this world with more positivity and create this tipping point where people just stop sharing negativity. You know, somehow we've got to do it. As usual, we're getting, you know, it's been an hour already. So I have one last thing to say. I should probably say this stuff like at the beginning, but I'm always in my rant mode. So one of the other things that some of you who have gotten on my email list from one way or another, you know that you got an email, right? Well, morning for you in America and afternoon for you if you're here in Europe. And if you're down under, well, you know, it's nighttime for you. You'll see this in the morning. But I sent out an email to let you know that we are inviting 10 of you, 10 change makers, 10 of you who have a message or a mission that you from people's lives in this planet. You want to get your message out there through a book, by getting on TV or the radio. Most of you know that you kind of either need an agent or you need money or you need a really strong platform to get into the media. Well, we're going to take care of all of that for you. We are launching a showcase. Bring 10 emerging luminaries, 10 of you who will be a shining star to share your message and your mission with millions of people around the world. I will train you personally. And I'm harsh, right? So Zazie, you can write in. You've seen my video training. You see how I am. No, it's all love. But I am very passionate about what I'm spending in media training. You will get media training from me. And then you will co-host a radio show with me. So if you're struggling to get exposure and get that reach to get your message out there, the network that we are on is called America Out Loud, and some of our co-hosts are getting 30,000 downloads of their episodes every week. And I don't know how many of y'all are getting that many downloads on your podcast or whatever without paying for it. So it is a paid training, but you get all of this platform and this showcase. So you'll be on US talk radio. So I know that's, you know, interesting to some people to say that there are people who can turn on the radio and they'll hear your voice in their car. Yes. And you'll also have the video and the audio podcast. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on Facebook, it'll be on your website and my website. It'll be on blast because I am committed at least 10 million lives in the next year. So I figure if 10 of you have a target audience of at least 1 million people who would be blessed by your message. If we band together and we put you on this platform, at this showcase, then we are going to make a serious dent. Because when you get blessed by something, don't you usually tell someone? Or at least you're nicer to the people around you. So if we could get 10 million people just with this one effort and radiating more of that love and positivity, then it can spread. I mean, my goal is to reach 1 billion. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is the vision that came to me, and this is the first step. So if you got that email, Namisha, you want in on that? Well, Namisha, aren't we talking on the phone sometime soon? Anyway, if you want in on that, oh, wait, let me share the link for that. There's actually a link. I'm going to be hosting a live Q&A session next Monday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central European Standard Time, which is 6 o'clock in the UK, which is 1 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. So get discovered, change the world, join us for this paid training and showcase you and your message on blast. And the good thing about this is, once you have some media experience and exposure, when you go and try to get a TED Talk or you want to get on TV, always are going to you out. When people come to me and they say, can I get on your show? I Google them, I go to their website, I look at their social media profiles to see what they've done, how do they represent themselves, help you get there. Because once you've got a solid platform and you can show that you can be a professional, it's going to help you change more lives. So that is my love and passionate gift to the world. Hello, Pia. I saw your recent Facebook Live. I didn't understand a word of it, but I sent you some love and some hearts. So hello to you. So yes, I'd love to connect with any of you who feel like you have a message that can change the world. Y'all, we cannot be quiet. We cannot be silent. We have got to spread more positivity. And if you have checked out this show that I'm the co-host of called Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Passion, which is on the America Out Loud network, I was a little, to be honest, when they asked me to join this show. So I did for a few episodes, and I didn't tell y'all about it because I was like, I don't know. Well, sure enough, they have partnered me up with various co-hosts talking about various topics that I've had to go there. I've like had to talk about politics and women's, it has been a lot. The one thing that I've been impressed with is Malcolm, the guy who founded this network. He goes by the name of Malcolm Out Loud. He is so passionate. And as much as he'll mix it up for, keeping the radio show spicy, when it all comes down to it, he work for you, for us, so that there would be a platform with more positivity than all of the other media. He's had a career longer than mine, 30 some odd years in professional broadcast media, whereas I've been doing this for 20 years. And being doing the stuff I did on the Oprah show and taking people to the OWN network and Discovery and CNN, I know how this game is played. And the majority of the people that try to get a positive message, they won't get the time of day because they need this little, yeah. So how do we beat them? Well, we create our own platform, baby, and we spread the love. So that's what we're going to be doing with this America Out Loud platform. So if you know someone who has been dying to be a superstar, for their sake, but because they really have a message or a mission or a methodology that can change lives, but they just need a platform to get visible, to be heard, to be seen as the beautiful expert that they are, then please send them this link so that they can join us. I'll be holding a Q&A session Monday and Wednesday of next week. So that's the 31st and the 29th. Free Q&A session where I'll present what the opportunity is about and what you get out of it. And yeah, there you have it. I think it's fabulous. I think we have to change the dialogue that's happening out there. We acknowledge the negativity, we acknowledge our feelings. I'm not saying you should pretend and bottle it up because, hey, after living for 20 plus years, hiding the fact that I was depressed, hiding the fact that I didn't want to live on this planet, that's no way to live. That is no way to live. But there is life after darkness. There is light after darkness. And there are people like you and me who are just, we want positivity and love and inspiration in the world. And I think together we can make it happen. So, love you all. Hello, Kevin. It's been a while. You will reach 1 billion. Thank you, Kevin. I receive that as information and a blessing. That is my intention. So I just feel like we have to do it, y'all. We can't be silent. And we can't let the negativity out there or the darkness think that they're winning just because they're getting our attention up here crying and feeling afraid. People are afraid now to go to big events and these sorts of things. And we cannot live in fear. We cannot continue to live in fear. But the only way we can change it, I believe, is from the level of love and really tapping into a love that goes beyond human earthly love. I'm talking about that deep stuff. So wonderful, Camilla. I'm glad that you are signed in. Tony, also. signed in. We are doing this 21 meditation challenge, and we will together change the world. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them here. Y'all have gone silent on me. Well, maybe not. It says, my little counter says I have 79 comments. I appreciate you all. I really do. As many of you know, I didn't get on to promote stuff, but when I started doing these rants last year, I was just trying to vent. I noticed a little late to the party that by sharing, whether it's on stage or on air, I feel better. You know, it was just sometimes living here in the south of France, separated from my friends and family, and now I'm connected to you. And what I noticed from many of your comments was that you also felt a need for community, and you also felt relief hearing me and some of the people that I interview about our challenges and our triumphs. I mean, I'm not going to do pity parties. We do not do the pity party. As one of my mentors told me, she's like, okay, you got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to sit there and feel sorry for yourself, and then it's done. Because we can't stay in that pity party. So Namisha says, in my experience, what is the challenge that people with a big vision have when getting out there? Well, I think there are several challenges. And Namisha, you mentioned the obvious one. Many people who have a big, big vision or a message that they believe can change lives, besides getting the visibility and the reach, there are two things. One of them is follow through. This was a challenge for me as well. I'm a multi-passionate ADD type of entrepreneur. I get lots of visions and downloads, and I can pour my energy into something that I think is going to be the greatest thing. I'll drop it because I get another download or something else. So one of them is follow through. And sometimes this is, again, why I do so much free information. Many of you who are powerful, have great missions. You've already been coaching people, whether that's professionally or just in your family or at your church. You can start a project and put all your time and energy or money into it, and then you burn out. That lack of follow through, whether it was because you didn't plan appropriately or you ran out of money, which does happen, and then life happens. You got to go get a regular job or what have you. That's the thing. So hashtag follow through. Yes, Namisha, for real, for real. Because I noticed that was a problem for me. The other isn't so much a problem for me, but many of my clients suffer with this, is a lack of self-belief, fear, doubt, inner criticism. They start worrying about what the haters and people who don't even really exist. They self-sabotage. Internal challenges, barriers. Because if you had a really powerful message and we took you to a TV network, like I shared last time, this friend of mine in DC, God bless her, she shared this message with me that I believed. I got on a plane with her, took her to the Oprah Winfrey Network, y'all, deliver this TV pitch because I was going to co-produce. I'm like, this is great. She stumbled, she fumbled, and she mumbled. Like she couldn't, I think she was starstruck. It was like, oh my God, I'm in Oprah Winfrey Studios. And it fell flat. So in order to be a quote unquote star or to share your message on a big stage, there's a process we got to go through of how do you deal with self-doubt and criticism and the fear of judgment? Because if you can't manage that, you will eventually wither or end up doing something that sabotages it. But that internal work is why I've built up these entrepreneurial assets to help people. A mentor to so many superstars. Like, I share some of my stories with you, but I would say 50% of my clients, I don't have the authority or right to tell you about them, not by name, because most of you have seen their movies or read their books. Just saying. And why is that? Because I'm on speed dial for people that when you have a big mission, especially if it's coming from your soul and not your ego. I don't work with people who are on an ego trip, so don't even apply for the showcase if this is all about your ego. But when you are bringing a message that comes from your soul, the ego in you does get, who am I to be so bold? Or, you know, what are people going to think? In order to maintain that integrity, you need a tribe or mentors or people that have your back, that you can put on speed dial and say, oh my God, I'm about to go on stage and I'm feeling. That's what I am for people, because they've seen me do it. I've been there. I've been to the mountaintop, dealt with the superstars and the craziness. I've maintained my core. So, giving away power to others, no more, says Kim. Yeah. And Namisha says, okay, now I know this is the place for me. Yep. Self-sabotage, girlfriend, been there, done that. Honey, Lord, I could go on for days. But I won't, because it's already been an hour. So, any other questions or comments, my loves? I'm glad that I'm smiling. Oh my God, my mood was so heavy when we started this. Whew. I had lunch with my daughter. She's here today. And I thought, oh man, how am I going to do this Facebook Live with her in the house? I'm going to be crying. It's going to be depressing. I don't want to do this. So I'm so grateful that somehow we've turned it around and I've got a smile on my face. I hope that you guys do as well. Anyway, I'm just sending you tons and tons of love, or as we do, me and my daughter, we send out sparkly pink chi. You know, it's light, it's like fairy dust to just uplift you, because no matter what the negativity is going on in this world, we have to maintain our core of positivity and just know that it's possible. You know, one of these times we'll probably get together. After this 21 days of compassion, we'll do 21 days of gratitude. But really tapping in to be grateful and thankful for the stuff that's working in your life. Even if it's the smallest thing, even if it's just a cup of verbal tea with me. Zazie, I will say hi. I'll say hi to Sienna from. So we have to maintain just hope and belief that there is good in us and in the world, and then we can radiate that. So a link to the Smiler book. We have not published the book. You can still get it from Gega's website, smiler.is. But I will be publishing this where you can get it everywhere, on Amazon and everywhere. It comes out in August. This is just my personal copy, y'all. So you'll get your own copy. And Shelley says, what if you're a visionary, these concepts to the masses, but you don't want necessarily to be the face or the personality? Great question. And Zazie from our personal branding tribe, right? You don't have to be the face. You can be the messenger, or at least the creator of the vision. One of the things we do with the personal branding program is to really figure out the tone, the personality, what makes this mission that you might want to bring to the world unique. And then we figure out what is the personality with it. Many of the things I've done over the last 4 years while working for Lux TV, I was doing. You find that these big companies and these movements, they hire celebrities. So whether it's a celebrity or just a regular person or even a cartoon character, have someone else be the quote-unquote face of that mission or that message. So a lot of, you know, like this, Gega has a vision that she won't have to be the messenger for very long. She wants this smiler to be able to stand on its own. She's just the initial messenger to get it out there. I have other people who are developing various apps and various technology to help people change their lives. So you don't have to be the face of the movement, but you do have to be at least articulate enough. And that's the biggest thing I do. With personal branding, yes, it will make you look good, but the most important thing that you need to be able to do is to communicate what is in your heart, so that other people get it, they receive it, and they can be transformed by it. So that's what I would say. It's just getting what that visionary concept is, Shelley, get it out of you into the written word or spoken word, so that then the only way you can transmit it is through communication. Then you can find someone else who can partner with you. Do a lot of that. We hire spokespeople. I've been the ambassador for many things. I mean, before I agreed to publish this book, I shared Gega's story on that TED stage. So my second TED, the TED Talk I did, I shared her story because she's been through, you guys have no idea. You think you're going through some stuff? I'm telling you, she has been through some stuff, and I wanted to share it. So sometimes you find other people who will share your message, but at first you have to be able to at least communicate it to someone. All right, so verbal tea, you're welcome for the verbal tea. So, yeah. Anything else, my loves, my friends? I'm so excited to have been here with you today. Thank you for sending me the love and the positivity. I'm so grateful that I can leave in a better mood. And yes, Clarence, we call that agape love. Yes, that's what it is. It's that love that transcends this human experience, and it can transform this beautiful planet that we're living on. So fabulous. Well, thank you all. It's been a lovely little afternoon of verbal tea. I will be back Friday. Heaven knows how that's going to work. Friday is Sienna's birthday. Thank you for the heart, Ozzy. Sienna is turning 11. We are having a birthday party at some location. So I don't know how I'm doing Facebook Live from said location, but that's my commitment to you. Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Summer Time, and 2 p.m. in the UK, 9 a.m. for you on the East Coast for all of my Maryland, D.C., Virginia peeps, and 6 a.m. for you on the Pacific side of the United States. So, much love to you all. I just thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for you being a part of my life and a part of my journey and allowing me to send you positivity. So, take good care, everyone. Bye. And thanks, John. John says, thinking of some people you met over the last years that you think in their own way, they're working their way towards this. Well, everyone, it has been such a wonderful, wonderful time with you today. So much love and hearts from me to you. I'll see you Friday.